Hi everyone, here we are back with THU TV Live. As you can see, I practically feel like I'm the only host around, but...
You are the only host around.
Oh, it must be that. So I'm here with Scott Ross. I don't think he needs an introduction, but, you know, just in case, I don't know, THU Knight, Guru, Savior, and his official title, I think, is Digital Media Executive. That's what...
And my THU title is THU Ambassador.
Ambassador.
I like that.
Oh, yeah, you want to stick to that? Yeah, no.
No epaulets.
So this is Inside THU. It's a show that's going to take you inside today and tomorrow, and we're going to look at the talks that took place, the activities that took place, and talk a little bit about those. Now, let's see if Scott did his homework. Scott.
Uh-oh.
Did you attend any...
Is this a multiple choice question?
No.
Oh, shoot.
Open answer.
Oh, no, God.
Also because I don't have the options to give you, but
okay.
It's my bad. Did you attend any talks today?
I did. I attended 2.
Okay, that's a good average.
Yeah, I got up late. I really wanted to see Jorge's talk, but I got up late because, you know, at THU we drink a little. So last night I got a little inebriated.
So you were a Greg, essentially.
I was asleep. I was beyond a drag. I was asleep, and...
No, not a drag, a Greg.
Oh, no, there was no Gregging.
Dude, you drank, you were late, didn't wake up. Rule number 4, get some sleep.
Dudette, I'm an ambassador.
Oh, sorry.
I'm allowed to do that. So I woke up late and I got to the MCC and I saw all these people crying because they had seen Jorge's presentation.
Please tell us there were tears of joy.
It was not just tears of joy, it was tears of emotional release. These people were like, I haven't been so moved in years having seen Jorge's presentation. So I was really bummed that I missed it. But I mean, everyone. It was not just 1 or 2 people that were, you know,
hopefully you're going to be able
emotional.
to catch up on it on THU TV.
I will catch up on it
and figure it out. So what is the talk that you attended?
The first talk I attended was Grayson Davies' talk, the fellow from Lenovo. I did it partially because, you know, Lenovo's a major sponsor and I wanted to show some support. And partially because I just wanted to bust him and see how he really did know how to negotiate. And it was on negotiating skills. It started off with, he talked about what negotiation was all about, and then he broke us into teams. So it was like a workshop. One was a manager, and the other one was somebody who was being recruited and trying to make their deal with the manager. And so that was really fun.
Did you try being on the recruited side instead of the manager side?
No, I won't do that. No, it's against my religion, no.
So, yeah, that was interesting. I had someone earlier on a show, I think it was Juan Salazar, who was telling me about that talk. He wasn't sure who did the talk. He was like, but I walked in and they were talking about this, and it was so interesting because it was a new concept, right? That comes into the B-sides, I'm guessing. And that's something we introduced last year and that you were also part of, and you're also giving a talk in that.
Actually, I'm not this year. This year, my talk is, it's the 25th anniversary of the founding of Digital Domain.
Okay, so that's what you're going to talk about.
That's what we're going to...
But yeah, I mean, you've, I think last year you were talking about the business side of things and how, like, why we brought it to THU, because at some point, like, we realized something. Maybe you can tell us what it is. But. Yeah,
well, the concept is, you know, that I talked about in the opening ceremony, which is, you know, musicians back in the 1950s and 1960s were the great creators. You know, they're the people that wrote the songs, they're the people that performed the songs, but it was the record companies and the marketeers that made all the money. So here they were taking advantage, in my opinion, taking advantage of these great musicians who some of them wound up penniless, you know, and dying without, you know, as my mother would say, a pot to piss in. And, you know, I look at digital artists and I think to myself, you know, these men and women are the creators of some of the most important images of our time. You know, I was involved with Titanic, as you know, and personally, had Titanic not had the sinking ship, it just would have been a bad love story. So it was, you know, it was those folks that created those images, and what did they get as a result? You know, just a lot of work. You know, they didn't they were not remunerated for the incredible work that they did on the project besides the salary.
We actually have a talk that will start shortly after our live about being your own art director by Ilka from Supercell, the CEO of Supercell.
Sure.
So that also comes into this category. So basically what we're trying to say is that it's important that you learn how to sell yourself, how to sell your product, and how to
read a contract, how to negotiate, how to get what you're worth, how to not be taken advantage of, etc.
So what's the other talk you heard today?
So the other talk was sort of following on to that.
Yeah, no. Apparently the people at home can't really hear it.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure.
We were told Malta was like Mediterranean climate and it's been beautiful, but tonight the gods are speaking. So Shannon Berkeley, who is an artist that worked at Digital Domain and has since, like 20 some odd years in the business, and her talk was about how do you interview. What are the things you should do at an interview? What should your resume look like? What should your reel look like? What should your interview be about? How do you present yourself? What does your social media look like, et cetera, to be hired? And then ultimately, what does life look like while you're working, 15 hours a day, 6 days a week? How do you navigate those waters?
Find that interesting? Was it a good talk?
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
And I actually said to her at the end of it, she should tape it and wind up selling it to every college, because every university student that's interested in being in digital arts should understand what that's about.
And you think that right now, like currently these art schools and stuff, do you think they cater for this kind of things? Do you think they do have business-related issues? Do they prepare the artists well for the outside world?
I think they're getting better. I don't think they really prepare the artists for the outside world, because most of the teachers and professors that work at those schools aren't prepared for the outside world, and that's why they teach. But they are getting better because so many of the schools, particularly the private schools that are for profit, the stats of getting hired is how they get students. So 80% of our students work professionally in the industry. So when you apply for that school, you're going to feel better about your possibilities.
So you do feel like it's important to go to experiences like THU and network, and maybe even like, diversify the kind of talks that you listen to?
That's sort of an unfair question, because, do I think THU is important? Well, duh, because I've been closely associated with THU for 6 years. I've been steering the ship that is THU, so of course I feel that way. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like your metaphor, especially seeing the location. I mean, you can't see it right now, but there's a beautiful sea behind us. No, I know you feel that way. It was more about like telling people at home why.
Yeah, you should go to THU. Whose camera is live?
No,
Which one?
I think.
You. So, yeah, you should go to THU, and the reason you should go to THU, first of all, is to build a community. You wind up meeting some of the greatest, most talented artists in the world, both people that are starting out and Academy Award winners, Emmy Award winners, et cetera. But I think THU is the only conference that not only deals with sort of style and how-tos and technical issues, but it also deals with business issues, financial issues, legal issues, and ultimately the most important, spiritual issues of how do you navigate life as this digital artist? What does it take? And I don't think that's taught or spoken about at any conference I've been to, and I've been to them all.
So let's talk a little bit about tomorrow's day. Have you had a look at the schedule? Is there anything that you notice particularly interesting? I mean, we have a talk on humans in the robotic world, like artificial intelligence related. We have some talks on Final Fantasy. We have one on production, though. There's a talk by Donna Smith, how to make a movie.
I think Donna Smith's an interesting person. So the other stuff that you mentioned, unfortunately, I'm not a gear queer, so I'm not like the technical person who gets all excited about that stuff. I like Elon Musk, I'm very concerned about artificial intelligence, and I think it could be possibly a benefit, but I helped make a movie called Terminator 2, and so I think it could also be terrible. And the last game I played was like The Legend of Zelda in 1988 or something, right? So
It's a great game.
It is. It was a great game, and so I'm not a gamer at all, but I do think it's important, particularly for women, to understand the people that have come before them, the pioneers that have sort of laid the groundwork that enable women today to be powerful in the industry. And in terms of those kinds of people, there are a handful of people, women that are iconic. Donna Smith is one of them. So let me, if I could just prep a little bit about that.
Yeah, no problem.
I see we got 9 minutes. I'll go fast. So
yeah, no worries.
In a movie studio, who's live?
He needs
You are. In a movie studio, no one knows how to make a movie except for the physical production department. Everyone else in the movie studio thinks they know how to make a movie. They don't. They sort of understand marketing and finance, and they might have relationships with talent. They think they understand creative. Generally speaking, they don't. But there's only one group in a movie studio that knows how to make a movie, and that's the physical production people. And
she was the president of.
She was the president of a major studio of physical production. She really knows her stuff. And it was at a time in the late 1980s through the 1990s when there were no women. So when you think about the difficulty that, you know, sort of Catherine Bigelow might have as a director, it started with Donna Smith. So this year we have Donna Smith, and I was dying to have Victoria Alonso, who is the counterpart to Donna Smith. She runs Marvel. And I thought, how cool would it be to have Victoria and Donna, you know, sort of the old school and the new school. And Victoria canceled at the last minute. But Victoria said she would be there next year. So Victoria, if you're listening, we're counting on you next year. And Donna said she'll come back. So how cool
we had
would
Donna
that
on our previous show. We have a show that's focused on empowering women and talking about the women's role in the industry. So we had to have Donna on that show.
She's an icon.
But yeah, in fact, her talk will probably be very, you know, an eye-opener for many people, especially people who are interested in working in that field, but who don't really realize what it actually takes. We also have a talk tomorrow about special effects, which is still your field, on special effects in Ready Player One. Did you watch that movie?
I did. I loved it.
You did?
So another thing that we did this year was I decided on the 25th anniversary of Digital Domain, there are a bunch of people that started off as babies 25 years ago. So Matthew Butler, Kelly Port, and Jeffrey Bauman, perfect examples. These three men started off as 23, 24, and 25-year-old men at Digital Domain, graduates of major universities, MIT, et cetera, but they were technical assistants. They were newbies. They were fresh blood coming in. And now those three are the visual effects supervisor on Ready Player One, Avengers, and Black Panther. So when you think about it, this year, there's a good chance that those three guys will be nominated for an Academy Award. So it's a wonderful thing to watch these people that are young and have grown through the industry to be the top of the pops. So I'm excited about Matthew Butler's and all of those guys' presentations.
So you've been, you're still interested and you still keep a close eye on whatever Digital Domain does and, you know, in the special effects industry?
You know, it's sort of funny. I saw Black Panther and I saw Ready Player One. I didn't see Avengers. So there are certain movies that you gotta see, like Black Panther. Black Panther, everybody was talking about it.
I still haven't seen it.
Oh, you have to see it. Yeah.
I heard there were so many, like, it had an excellent feedback. It did very well.
No, it's been like one of the biggest movies of the year. And then Ready Player One I had to see because, you know, I love Steven Spielberg and I love his movies, so I had to see that. But I'm not a big visual effects moviegoer.
Really?
Yeah.
Who would have said? You know, when I go to the movies, I kind of tend to go for the special effects now because with TV on demand, with Netflix, with all of these commodities, like the cinema is more like such an effort and you're like, oh, if I'm going to go out there, if I'm going to spend that money, then it needs to be worth it. And what makes it worth it is mostly special effects for me.
Like those big image films, right?
Well, I mean, it's the kind of thing that like watching at home is not as impressive as it is as watching on the big screen. Sometimes you're not like, you know, you can go and watch a dramatic film or a romantic comedy, but you can watch that at home. The cinema doesn't add much to that experience. Whereas with special effects or amazing soundtracks, that's another thing. Like those are the ones that make me go to the cinema. So
I'm really spoiled and lucky, and I'm a brat.
So you've got a cinema in your home?
I had a cinema in my home, and it was giant, 7.2, giant screen, et cetera. And I moved out, and now my wife Michelle and I live in a small home, about 1,400 square feet, and we just have a small TV. That's all we have. So because I'm a member of the Academy, the Oscars, they have special screenings every weekend. So I go to the cinema to watch it.
Ah, okay.
And I don't pay.
Well, yeah, no, cinema is struggling, in Italy at least. I mean, because people do a lot of the on-demand, the prices of the tickets have gone up as well, so people are going even less, you know, it's just kind of, but yeah, I mean, I remember watching Gravity in the cinema, thinking, wow, and then watching it again at home, falling asleep halfway through. I'm not supposed to say that, but because it was just like, it's a good film, but there's no dialogues. There's, it's all quiet and floating around, and you're like, yeah, okay, this just looked much better on the big screen. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm not a big special effects person. I'm not very technical, but then again, I do enjoy watching like good films like that.
And we're happy you do.
So right, I'll keep people, in the industry and keep people working. Is there any particular talks during the week that you're really looking forward to, or any particular person? You said Jorge was one of them, but you slept through that, so you need a bit more motivation.
It's not motivation. It's I need a bit less wine. I think that's what I need. Right?
Well, it's the best part of these experiences like THU and is also seeing your friends and having, because we require the people who attend, the speakers as well, to actually we don't tell them come and give your talk and leave. We expect them to come here, spend a week here, immerse themselves completely in the experience. We have them come a few days earlier so they're not jet lagged and they have no excuses, So we demand a lot of them, but then it becomes also a holiday for many, right? So it's a way to get together, to network with not just tribe members and attendees, even just fellow Knights, I'm guessing. I mean, how much time do you and Donna get to spend together in the States, right?
Yeah, rarely. So I find my role here at THU, my job is I do the opening ceremony, I do the closing ceremony. I'll do the fireside chat, but beyond that, for me, it's about reaching out to the men and women that I don't know, that are new, that are warriors, and I'll just insert myself into conversations. So I'll see a bunch of guys and gals sitting around having a beer. I'll just sit down with them and just have a conversation with them. And to me, that's much more important to go and see anyone else's talk. I want them to all go and see people's talk, but from my perspective, it's about, can I build one-on-one or one-on-five relationships with the warriors and answer their questions, get involved in their conversation, and inspire.
Do you find that they are they get intimidated by your presence, or is the atmosphere, friendly enough to make them comfortable around people like you? I mean,